When you say it's the law of the land, can you quote the statute that has been passed by the people's elected representatives? No. The only law she's following is the Kentucky law, which by constitutional amendment defines marriage as a man and a woman.
Mike Huckabee was once the governor of Arkansas, and he still hopes to be president. A very educated man, very responsible man, and one who has the ear of trust from many of those he has served and seeks to serve. And as a man who seeks to follow the Constitution and the law of the land in America, has he rightly taken on the Supreme Court as being nothing more than 5 lawyers in the case of a Kentucky county clerk? Or is he as big a hypocrite as those he usually calls on the figurative carpet? All right, let's get there with this edition of The Political Animal. Welcome back, CNBC contributor and New York Times bestselling author Carol Roth, along with the former Deputy Staff Secretary to President Bill Clinton, Democratic strategist David Goodfriend. I thank you both for being here. Carol, I'm going to start with you. The county clerk in Kentucky, she has been found in contempt of court. She's been taken into custody. Meantime, Governor Huckabee says on a number of morning shows, oh, don't worry about those Supreme Court guys. Those are just 5 lawyers there. You don't really have to pay attention to what they do. Carol, stop. Whether you're a Republican, a Democrat, or whatever, if you're going to live by the Constitution, if you're going to die by the Constitution, then damn it, you've got to hold the Constitution in every single case and not cherry pick. What say you?
I give you a big amen, Ed. Very well said. And, you know, as they like to say in the South, since Huckabee is from the South, bless his heart. He has his strong beliefs. His beliefs tend to be a little hypocritical, but you're right. The Constitution is the Constitution, and it's supposed to be the GOP's position that, you know, we are lovers of the Constitution. We want to see that upheld. And he likes to, as you said, cherry pick. One, we should uphold it and know that, you know, Supreme Court ruled on it, and just kidding. He obviously can't do that. I do give him credit for trying to stick to his religious beliefs, but there is a separation of church and state. There is a Constitution. And again, just bless his heart.
David is sitting right there. And all of a sudden he's going, my God, look out. Carol and Ed, they both come over to the dark side now. They're both on the left. No, David, we have not actually done that. At least Carol has not. I'm trying to play this one down the middle. But I'll tell you what, from the Democratic side of things, you've got to look at this and say, look, stop cherry picking. You want to play the game, then play the game. Be it right for everybody. This woman, it was the absolute wrong thing for her to do what she did, legally speaking, and it's correct that she goes to jail.
Yeah, and I think there's actually an interesting dotted line here between the county clerk in Kentucky and the sanctuary city supporters in San Francisco. Both of them would like to say that locally they can somehow alter a federal policy or a constitutional interpretation or a statute, and they can't. I mean, the bottom line is, under our federalist system, states and their subsidiaries, the cities and counties, are given an awful lot of room to maneuver where the federal law has not occupied that area of jurisprudence. So in this case, if the federal government were silent on the issue, then the county clerk could occupy that and say, look, here's my judgment. But the fact of the matter is the Supreme Court has ruled. I think what Governor Huckabee is doing is similar to what President Nixon and Republicans in the 60s and 70s were doing when they were, in effect, campaigning against Supreme Court decisions on busing, on abortion. If you campaign against the court, you're not necessarily saying, I'm going to disobey the Constitution. What you're saying is, and if I become president, I'll appoint justices who do something different. As an electoral tactic, I think it's at least rational. I don't agree with it, but I can interpret it better that way than as some sort of legal pronouncement he's trying to make.
Governor Huckabee is free and welcome to come on this program at any time where I would tell him that he was wrong, and I would love to hear the answers from his own lips. Let's move on to Donald Trump. You knew we couldn't get away with it. We got a couple of minutes left to go here. David, I stay with you. Let's see. Mr. Trump did sign the loyalty pledge as requested by the RNC that he would not seek an independent run. But in the same breath, we still have to go back to his comments about Jeb Bush, saying if you're going to campaign in English, or if you're going to campaign in America, speak English. To everybody I've talked to, there's not one person I've spoke to who either loves or hates or doesn't know about Donald Trump who didn't say, this is insulting.
Well, I thought that a couple of weeks ago he said enough insulting things that he was tank his own campaign, but he hasn't tanked yet. I think part of his appeal to a certain segment of Republican primary voters is that he says exactly what's on his mind. And at some point, the question isn't whether he's going to be offensive. He can be offensive, yes, but is he going to be offensive enough that he starts losing his lead, his sizable, amazingly huge lead against the other Republicans in the field.
I got to look. Carol smiling on the other side. She is a Donald Trump supporter, and I think she needs to answer that. Carol, when is he going to get to the point, or will he ever get to the point that it becomes so offensive to so many people that he doesn't lead the polls? Look, he's leading the polls again right now. Ben Carson is nipping right at his heels, as a matter of fact, and he's got a huge unfavorability rating, Carol.
All right, before I answer that question, I just have to get to the pledge in itself. And I feel like this is why the GOP cannot have nice things.
Okay, 45 seconds.
Kind of political tactic that Donald Trump is standing against. And I'm actually a little disappointed that he signed the pledge. I don't feel like he needed to sign the pledge. I don't think that he should support somebody if he doesn't like that particular candidate. As far as being so offensive, I absolutely do not think there's anything that he can say that is going to offend people. He may run out of steam at some point. I think that's his biggest issue, is that perhaps people just, move on to something else.
Do you think people might just become desensitized to it, Carol? I mean, really just desensitized? It's just Donald.
It's his brand. It is his brand. That is what people want and expect from him. And that's what people are, frankly, railing against at this point.
Wait a minute, everybody. Here we go. Let's talk about this as we move on in weeks. It's all about the brand. And we all know that in politics. It really is what it's becoming. Carol and David, always a pleasure, my friends. Thanks so much for joining us. Take care. Talk to you soon. We just spoke about Ben Carson. By the way, you want to learn a little bit more about Ben Carson? As I said, he's rising in the polls. He's challenging Donald Trump. Get your copy of Ben Carson's book, One Nation, absolutely free. Pay $4.95 to cover the cost of shipping. All you do is call or go online. Call 1-800-655-7567 or go to Newsmax.com/Ben. Stay with us. The fastest 60 minutes in news continues.